So in this video we are going to review this layout and to make it from scratch. Here are some of the instructions for this layout, some information about the font families and the color and sizes you have to do. What I would do if a designer would hand me this design, first of all I will try to make some kind of a wireframe to give me an idea of the proportions and the sizes of the stuff. I created a wireframe for you and you can see it here. So this should give you some information about the sizes of the wrapping things if you have a wrapper, because in this case we do have some wrapping stuff for the whole content. And also the sizes of, in this case, the height of the header and the size of the images and stuff like that. So based on this wireframe and these proportional sizes, I'm going to start my design, okay? So first of all, what I'm going to do is I will have a wrapper which will hold the whole design. This will be a 1120 pixels wide wrapper, center horizontally, okay? Then I will add a header right here. To that header I will add that box shadow you can see there, and inside that header I will just add one image, which is the logo, and I will also add an order list here with some list elements, and that's pretty much it for the header, okay? Then here I will use some h1 for this, some paragraph with class title for this text here, and some other paragraph with class subtitle. Then for this part, we could add 4 different columns, all floating to the left, or with a display inline block. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do, because if you see this, you have 4 boxes there, and the size of each box should be something around 200 pixels or something like that, okay? So if you add those 4, you will get 800 pixels, which is far less than the 1120 pixels of the width of the parent. So you have to take that into account. And then at the end, it's quite easy because you just need 3 floating divs with some margin between them, at least between the one and the second one, the first and the second one, and the second one and the third one, okay? So that's pretty much it. Let's start with brackets. I will create a new file there, and I am working on this folder where I have the images folders right there. So my file will be, this will be the home folder for my HTML. So I just new file, first partial is letter E dot HTML, and here you do have to write much stuff, such you could copy this from some other template you have. I will write it myself. Almost done. So meta charset, UTF-8, some title, some layout, and that's it, okay? So here, let's start with the HTML that I mentioned some minutes ago. So we talked about a wrapper. There we have it. And inside there, we will have a header. Inside the header, we need an image, which is image E logo with some alt logo. Then we are going to add the UL with some list elements, and they are home and product services. And look how I am not typing everything in uppercase. I will fix that later on using CSS. It really doesn't matter how I write it here because I will change everything to uppercase. That's all I need for the header. I mean, it wasn't that complicated. Then I start with, I could start just typing the stuff. I really don't need much. Just a header, press, and words. Then some P class title with that big text that says award-winning design solutions. And then pay attention here because many of you were typing all that gibberish that you really don't need to type. So this is just subtitle, and I can just copy stuff. There's a very famous text called Lorem Ipsum, which is some ancient Latin stuff gibberish that normally we use in designs as placeholder text, just to fill stuff. That's why there's one webpage called L Ipsum from Lorem Ipsum, and here you can generate many paragraphs of gibberish, okay? And I will just copy a little bit of that into my design, just to have some kind of real text, because if you just type blah 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 blah, it looks super awful, and this looks more like a real text, okay? Then we need these 4 icons, and the name of the icons are home press from 1 to 4. I am tempted to not add any div around them at all, so I will just use the images. Let's see if I can pull this up without any more divs. What was the name? Home, image, home press 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to update the numbers there. That's it. And then for the bottom of the design, for this last part, I am going to add a div for these ones. So this will be, I don't know, I will just call it footer, and inside there I will just add the images. So image E, and the name was I don't know. So the first one is specs. So specs, and then the second one is products, and then company. So products, and then company. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I need anything else, as long as the HTML part, okay? So this is letter E. This is how it looks without any styles on it. Of course, it looks quite awful, and the images are super huge, and we have to change still many things. Let's go on and start with the CSS. And for this exercise, I will use external CSS. I already have a folder there called CSS, as you can see. And inside there, I will create a new file called styles E for this kind of test. So new file, styles e.css. And I just have to link these 2 files together. How do I do that? I go to the head, and then I use link href CSS styles E, and the relation is style sheet. And that's pretty much it, okay? Let's start with the styles. First of all, I will add a CSS reset. Just the one, as we were using the one from Eric Meyer, so I will just go to Meyer Web. You can Google CSS reset. This is the first link that you will find there. I'm just gonna copy this and paste it here, and then just hide everything together. These are my resets, okay? How does my designs look like? As soon as I apply the reset, I will lose the vignettes and any decoration that was added to the headings, and so on. So this is with the CSS reset. As you can see, everything looks more plain, more standardized, without any decoration, and I will start from that on. Okay, so these are my styles, and I will start with the wrapper, giving it a width of 1120 and center it. If you want to see it, I will temporarily assign a horrible red background color so you can see that it's being centered and with that correct measures. Now I will just lose that background color. Let's move on to the header. The header has a fixed height. As you can see, the height of the header is 80 pixels, and then I just have to center this vertically and make these boxes here. So my header will be of a fixed height of 80 pixels. Okay, this will make that header bigger. If you want to see it, let me just assign a random color to it so you can see it. That's my header right now. You need to add some kind of a box shadow, and as the box shadow is a complicated parameter because it has many values, I wrote the whole instruction here. So this is the X offset, the Y offset, the blurriness, and the color of the shadow. Okay, so 0312 in the header. You need a box shadow, 3 pixels, 12 pixels of blurriness, RGBA 000 0.07, so that's almost transparent black color. It only has 7% of opacity, okay? And it's quite hard to see. I'm going to remove the background so you can see it. It's super soft, but there you see it. Some of you mistakenly wrote a 0.7, which is a 70 of opacity. That's much more of what I wanted in this box shadow. It should be really, really soft, okay? Now let's play with let's align these elements correctly inside the header. Let's start with the logo, with this horizon logo, okay? So header image is the only image inside there, so you could play with the margin. I don't know, some margin to the top and some margin to the left. And you could get it with some trial and error on the correct position, but I think it's better if we align it vertically as we did with a position absolute, and then we just leave 50% to the top and transform, translate Y, minus 50%. The problem here is that this will be aligned not inside the header, but inside the body. I don't know if you can see it, but that horizon logo is being aligned in relation with the body, not with the header. Why is that? Yeah, exactly. I was expecting to be in the middle of this container, but the position absolute tells us that it will align with the first parent or with the first container with a declared position different than a static. And as the header or the wrapper, none of them have any position declared, it's aligning with the body, okay? But we can fix that easily by assigning a position to the container. And a simple position that won't mess with anything else is a relative position. So as soon as we change that, you can see the logo quite centered there. We just need to clear some space to the left, maybe some 50 pixels, and that's it. Now let's play with the UL and with the li elements. So the UL would be the container and the list elements are inside it. So header UL, and we are probably going to also be needing some header UL li. Why is that? Well, first of all, let's see where is our UL. Background color red. There you can see that big box of the UL, okay? Now let's change the list elements to be flat. We can change the display to inline block. That will make these 4 things to be there, okay? Now let's play with the position absolute for the UL and changing its position from relative or from static to absolute changes the way this element is rendered inside the container. It's no longer expanding to fill the 100% of the container, just the necessary space for wrapping the elements inside it, okay? Now let's stick it to the right 0. That's pretty okay. Again, let's center it vertically. So top 50%, transform, translate wide minus 50%. That's it, okay? We also need bigger boxes. So we could play with the height of those boxes and make it 80 pixels height to fill the whole space. And now we need to center the text inside it. One way of centering one line of text vertically is a trick of assigning the same height for the lines. So the line should be the same height of the container or of the element. And if we do that, if you think about it, each line will be 80 pixels height, and that will just center the text. That means the next line will be around here, okay, so 80 pixels to the bottom. So this only works for centering one line of text vertically, but it works pretty well. We are going also to assign some width to the elements, maybe 100 pixels, and maybe leave some margin between them, so nothing to the top, but maybe 10 pixels between each of them, okay? If you change the background color now, not to the UL, but to the li elements, you will actually see those elements. Let's center the text inside it, text align center. That's it. So that's really where I wanted those boxes to be, okay? Now I can get rid of the red background, and let's deal with the font family. So this font should be, as I was telling you here, it's a work sans with weight 500, size 12 pixels, and the color at least of these three menus is this gray, and this one is a darker gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign the color to all the lists, the same color, and then I will just override the color and the border for this first Lee element. How do I do that? Well, here, font family, but first I need to go and grab these font families from Google Fonts, okay? So I need the Work Sans and the Roboto fonts. So let's go to fonts.google.com. Let's search for Roboto, and let's click add here, and then Work Sans. We also add that one. And then here in the customize, I just need some specific weights for those fonts. So the Roboto should be at 300 and the Work Sans at 500. So Work Sans 500 and Roboto 300. Okay, that's it. We just copy this link. We can close that. And where do we add it? Inside the HTML before our styles. That's important because we want to have the font families available, and then we are going to use our styles to assign them to any element that we want. Okay, so we already have the Roboto 300 and the Work Sans 500. Let's assign the first one to the Lee elements. That should be a Work Sans. So you go font family. You have to type this exactly as you imported from Google. So here you can see we have a blank space here, but a capital S. So we should use the capital S. Okay. Then just a fallback in case we are not able to download that. We change the color of all the lists temporarily to A0, 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 and the font size, I think it was 12, okay, 12 pixels. So that's it. And let's change the uppercasing, the capitalization of the letter. It should be text transform uppercase. This will convert all the words to uppercase, okay? It doesn't really matter if they were lowercase in the beginning. Yeah, it's starting to look quite okay. Let's deal with this one, which should be different from the rest. So we have to find a way of telling apart this from the rest. I could assign a class to it, class selected, okay? And that class will help me tell apart that one from the rest. So yeah, Lee, but with the class selected, that one has a different color of 29, and it also should have a border top of 5 pixels, solid. It's kind of a red color, F99B24, I think. Okay, so with that done, any item that has that class selected, what would happen if I assign that class also to this one? So class selected. Both of them will look exactly the same. Okay. This class selected should be assigned to the current element selected from that menu. That's what we are expecting to happen later on, okay? So later on we will add that functionality using JavaScript or jQuery. For now, we are going just to leave it like that. Let's move to the next part. Next we need this small title. This was an H1, sorry. So H1, it's also a font family of what? It's also a Work Sans. So basically, I will just copy this Work Sans. And the color is this gray color we were dealing with here. And the font size is 11 pixels. And we are going to center the text inside it, okay? Text align center. So as you can see, we already have that one. We need some space between the header and this one. We could add a margin bottom to the header. So push everything down, maybe 60 pixels. So we have more space there, as you can see, okay? Now the next one is this paragraph here. This paragraph, I assigned a class of title to it, right? So P class title should have a font family of Roboto, and otherwise any sans serif will do. Weight 300. Yeah, we don't even have to assign it because that's the only weight we grab from Google. That's going to be the only weight that can be applied. Even if I set this to 500 or 100, it won't change anything because as you can see, let me change the font size and the text align Well, the font size is 36. And let's center that too. So if you have that one, it really doesn't matter if you change the weight to, let's say, 800, because you don't have, I am refreshing the screen and nothing changes, because the only weight available is the 300, okay? So it really doesn't matter if I don't put it, it will still look the same. You should specify the weight when you have 2 or more weights available and you want to play with them a little bit, okay? So now we have that one and that one. We also need some space between those two. We could add a margin bottom to the H1. I don't know, just trying to move this a little bit to the bottom. Then we have this text. Also the color of this should change to a 29. Yeah, it's starting to look okay. Now this text here is a subtitle, so I will just duplicate this to subtitle. You need the same font with a smaller size, with a different color, something like that, okay? And then also some margin bottom to this one. And this is too big, okay? As you can see, it's using the 100% of the container, but we can play with its width. We could play with a max width, so don't grow more than, and if you see this in proportion and you think that this this width is 1120, so this width should be around 500 or 600. So let's give it a max width of 600 pixels so it won't let it grow farther or more than that, as you can see. And we have to center this. So margin 0 auto, that will do for centering that stuff. We could change the line height to make it maybe more separated, okay, with more distance there. And maybe I'm going to grab just a little bit more of gibberish just to put it there and make it seem more, just a little bit of more text there. Yeah, that's starting to look quite okay, okay? Now, how do we deal with this thing? Well, actually, what I'm just going to do is all these items that live inside this, which is, if you think of it, is the wrapper, the element that hold those together, because who is the father of this element and who is the parent of this one, and this one is a wrapper, right? So what we could do is just tell the wrapper to center the stuff inside it, and this will center everything inside it, okay? So I don't have to deal anything with this. These ones are already done, right? I don't have to do them, to do nothing to them, okay? Now let's play with these other three, and these all live inside this footer, and there are images inside the footer. So what I could do is tell something like, yeah, inside the footer there are images, please float them and make them smaller. So if I go with a 33%, I will be able to fit all these three images inside the container, right? In fact, I still have 1% of the space here if you think about it, because 33 times 3 is 99, so I still have 1 pixel there, meaning I could assign that percentage as the right margin for this one and this one, because that would add up to 100. So we could do something like that, something like margin right 0.5%. Of course, this will add up to 100.5, meaning they won't fit anymore together, but you are starting to see that margin there, okay? And maybe what I do is the last one, this shouldn't have any margin to the right. So I could assign, I don't know, a class last to that one, and then just say something like, yeah, but the image with the class last, this one shouldn't have any right border or right margin. So 0. That's it. And that will make them fit, okay? And if I would like to increase those sizes, I could just play a little bit with the math. So if I go to, I don't know, 32.5 times 3, that's 97.5. I still have 2.5 pixels. If I divide that by 2, that will be 125, right? Something like that. So this will just increase a little bit the margin there, and you can play with that a little bit if you want to, okay? And I think that's starting to look quite okay. I could leave some space to the bottom of the submargin, so maybe 100 pixels, not here, maybe to the top of the footer. So footer, margin, top, just to move this a little bit away. Yeah, I think that will work okay. I will pause the video here.